Hello, my name is Patricia Landaverde, and I want to present to you the work that we did in collaboration with UNAM University, that is in understanding the effect of landscape on Cucurbita pepo-pollinator interaction network, how it varies depending on plant genetic diversity. The interaction network are variables and properties of the community that help to understand and better form the changes, how the changes affect the community, the individual species in the community, and the interaction networks they have. Until now, so far, there is only little studies on the effect of antagonist interaction network, that is plant predator, how the genetic diversity is affecting this interaction network, and it has demonstrated that genetic diversity really have an effect on how the landscape is affecting this interaction network. However, the pollinators are very important. There is no so far any study of how the genetic diversity of this species will affect the interaction network and how it is related with the landscape. And for that, our goal was to study, to determine whether genetic diversity of the pepo, like the key species, affect the interaction network of bee and the pumpkin, and to establish the effect on landscape, considering this genetic diversity has on the bee-pumpkin interaction network. For that, we study 10 different pepo cultivar in which we obtain the microsatellite to know the diversity, genetic diversity, and we also record the interaction network between flower and bee pollinators. For that, we obtain the allele abundance, allele richness, and heterozygosity. For the interaction network, we analyze the specialization of the bee species, and the nestedness is how the specialized bees are interacting with generalist bees in relationship with the plant. The modularities, how are formed different modules or groups in the local areas as well as the regional level, and how robust was the interaction network and the number of interaction per species. Here you could observe our expectations, that is that with more genetic diversity, these measures of the interaction networks are going to increase. And what we found was that in general, all the interaction networks measures tend to increase with the genetic diversity, as you can see here. More genetic diversity that is down, more the value of the measure of the interaction network, except but by the specialization that is not form is logic, because when there is more genetic diversity, the key species is going to have more morphological traits that will be related with the with more diverse species, and therefore they are going to be more generalist. Regarding our second goal related with the effect of the landscape with this interaction network, we find that there was only two variables of the landscape that were having a positive, or they were having a significant relationship with the network measure. That was the presence of semi-natural areas with the nestedness, the form in which the specialist bees are related with the generalist bees. And we observe that with more semi-natural areas, the presence of this relationship of the interaction, the number of interactions of generalists with the specialists was bigger. While when the genetic diversity was low, this was tending to go to the contrary. There was a decrease of the number of this relationship between specialists and generalists, suggesting that maybe it was becoming a more, there was more dominant species related with the key species, the pumpkin, due to the genetic diversity. With relationship with the forest, we find that this interaction of this measure was always positive, indicating that with more number of interaction per species was increased. With more forest, there was more interaction per species independent of the genetic diversity. This is the first study in which we are trying to assess this, and therefore we don't know still what are the variables of the morphological traits related with genotypes, and therefore this is important for the future to understand better how to protect bees. And for that, the genomic tools are going to be very important to understand better what are these morphological traits related with genetic diversity. Thank you very much for your presence.